Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Terence. I'd like to suggest that what we do over the next 50 minutes is to look at the individual ecosystems that you represent or work within and their vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities that have been exposed by the pandemic, but perhaps predated. So let's begin. You've all been introduced by Terence, my doppelganger. Irwan, Junaidy, Christy, Audi. Is that how I pronounce your name? That's fine. Okay, so all of you, in some ways, representing very different segments of the creative industry. So let me begin with Irwan, who's sitting right next to me. Tell us a little bit about the ecosystem that you kind of work within, its vulnerabilities. And you're a trained architect, but your work has gone beyond that.
Okay, thank you for inviting me to my creative ventures. I'm in a position in which I have a foot in two industries. I'm a producer, so I produce live action work and I also produce animation work. So there's two different industries which has two different difficulties. For COVID, the live action work was severely impacted. So we had projects that we were supposed to do during the MCO, during the lockdown, which we couldn't do. And when you're a producer, there's a lot of different people under you. There's the camera people, the technical people, there's the props, there's catering, there's actors, you know. So a lot of these people were severely infected by COVID. And we could not do anything because the nature of COVID is, you know, when you have a production, it's many different people from different areas converging into one spot, and obviously that couldn't work. So we had to pivot and do things that we can do without actually shooting. So for example, we did a lot of development. We sat down and came up with different ideas and developed IPs so that we could work once the lockdown has been lifted. And once the lockdown was lifted, we could, you know, embark on our different shoots. So it's survival mode for that part of the industry, and you know, when you have family, you have kids, you have a wife, so you know, you do whatever you need to do to survive. And you know, it is a bad place to be in, but there are support that's coming, you know, that came from the government, that came from you know, all these initiatives. So there is some element of, you know, there is a life vest there, but I don't think it's going to be conducive in the long run. If COVID ends tomorrow, fine, let's get back to work. But if it extends to 6 months, a year, then, you know, I think there's going to be serious trouble.
I run an e-commerce company called ChristyNg.com. So we're in the business of designing women's footwear and handbags. Okay, so we are a multi-channel company. So we have a retail store in all the major malls in Klang Valley, almost all. We also have stores down south in Johor as well, just at the border towards Singapore. I'm in a very privileged position. I'm a bit lucky because I have a very strong e-commerce platform, and that actually cushioned for the losses that we made in brick and mortar. So to give you some idea, totally zero sales because we were closed, and with the second wave of outbreaks now, the malls continue to be badly impacted because footfall has diminished tremendously. But we see a tremendous rise in e-commerce transactions. Like we've grown 400% during MCO online. So I think in every crisis, there's always opportunity. And I think the key to surviving is how fast you adapt, is how fast you react to the problem.
So my story is a depressing one. I represent the live performers, and we were actually one of the first to sort of have all of our projects sort of not even postponed, but cancelled. Festivals, many festivals that couldn't even get put online, I think because these were the things that were first hit. But funnily enough, I'm an Indian classical dancer, and the Indian classical dance ecosystem seems to be thriving on social media platforms like Facebook, especially on Facebook, and Zoom, I would like to say. They've got discourses, forums, seminars. They've managed to pull everyone together. A lot of people are performing from their homes, from their living rooms, from their kitchens. So it's been quite interesting to see the form sort of move on with the times. So we need to sort of stay relevant or keep up with the times and make sure our face is seen on your feed, right, as you scroll up your social media. So there is this sort of, I feel, very strong sense of, I want to say desperation, or because there's this fear. So no, a lot of these performances or things that you see on your phone are done by the artists themselves.
I represent about 15 writers. My main scope of work is I play songs, meaning that I have a team of writers, and we write, and then I'll get the song recorded or used in some form, whether it's in an album or with a brand or it's a theme song, whatever, anything that needs music, even on social media as well. What I have noticed this past 6 months was actually there was more collaboration. Interestingly enough, there was more collaboration, and personally, I saw this actually, this whole COVID, this whole MCO, there was a blessing in this, because it accelerated a lot of things that would have happened anyway. How things moved online, and that was something that I've been pushing people to do.
And we've also looked into other venues, how to get money. Traditionally, it's just from broadcasters or investors. So we're looking at things like, how do you get money from YouTube? How do you monetize your YouTube channel? What sort of content works on YouTube? So we've been doing a lot of different stuff to see what sticks. We've done our artists, when they have nothing to do, they'll draw something, and we'll take a video of them drawing, and we'll see, do people like it? Do people respond to it? And because we have a channel that's already been monetized, a little bit of income comes from that.
People who fail are people who refuse to change. They refuse to adapt e-commerce. They refuse to sell things online. They refuse to, start their own e-commerce website, their own brand.com. They refuse to do anything. They just want status quo. So these are the first group of people who are going to fail.
We have social media now. So we have live performances for free, which is also kind of killing the market of performances that are ticketed, because now everyone has such a wide, they have a wide selection, so to speak, and there is also now no real curation.
If you want to fix this, managing our talent, you have to go right down to our education system, for instance. My biggest challenge now with the writers that I have is language. Because all our songs, when we pitch, it has to be in English, regardless of the market. Whether you're selling to China or Korea or Indonesia, they all want the demos in English, because they get demos from songs from all over the world, whether it's from Sweden or America or the UK, and they're all in English. And I have issues with that, finding someone who can write in English.
When we did something Malaysian, set locally but universal storytelling, it travels. All the people around the world are interested in it. So personally, as a company, we are looking into that sort of stories so that we can, bring it overseas. It's more of like, go beyond our local market, go regional, go global.
I think we need to learn how to think on our feet. We need to learn how to adapt quickly, because opportunity doesn't wait for anybody, So rather than, complaining and, being negative about the whole situation, one should think outside the box, be very resourceful, and be more resilient.
Thank you so much, Audi. It's been a pleasure listening to you, Christy, January, Irwan, for your thoughts And let's hope that we can build this conversation into something meaningful for everybody. Thank you so much for being here this morning.